You've just opened the soup can. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the many flavors we offer as we ask Soup No O. Hello and welcome to the Soup Can. I'm your host Campbell's, and it is that time of the month where we ask Soup No O with WWE wrestling and maybe a little bit of AEW if we get there. And with me again is the awesome Tyler Makins.
Hey, what's going on, Campbell's? You doing all right today?
Doing great now that we got our technical glitches out of the way, which I'll admit apparently was on my end.
I don't want to blame the old guy on the podcast, but it is what it is. It's done.
Of the two of us, who's got a podcast?
That's true. It's true.
So,
You're the host here. You're the host.
all right. Well, as I just said, we are going to ask Soup No O with WWE wrestling. Last month we talked about WWE Backlash and we made our predictions, and we did pretty well with those predictions. I think I was the only one that got a pick wrong because I picked Flair to beat Rhea Ripley.
Sorry, you hear the dogs barking in the background.
Nothing wrong with that, man. High quality soup can.
But so did I go perfect at the last pay-per-view?
You had, yep, we both picked Damian Priest. We picked Ray and his kid. I picked Flair. You picked Rhea. Rhea was correct. We both picked Bianca. Yeah, you went perfect.
Wow, I'm pretty impressed for our first go round. It's not too bad. Too bad.
I mean, the only things that like technically you got wrong would be the surprise or like the the backlash.
Yeah.
With Edge coming back, which would have been a nice twist, but didn't happen. There was really no backlash from WrestleMania, so I don't know why it was
there wasn't. No, and even though there wasn't, I thought it was still like a decent show. Like I remember all the matches being pretty good, especially the two main championship matches.
Yeah, Roman Reigns versus Cesaro was a solid match.
Right, exactly.
Lashley versus Drew versus Braun, who the latter was released.
Braun who? Who?
Yeah, who? Well, we'll just transition to what brings us here this evening.
No, baby.
Legal pad.
Unscripted.
WWE Hell in a Cell.
Yes.
I mean, we could start with that, or we could discuss some of the news that has transpired since last month with a few of the releases.
Well, let's talk releases for a couple minutes and then get into the card because there's not that many matches that have been announced yet. So let's run through the news real quick.
With the news, I assume you heard of the releases that happened maybe a week and a half ago.
Yes, I did. Yeah, obviously headlined by Braun Strowman, and although he wasn't technically, I think, in that big group of releases, I think also Adnan Burke was the other one that stood out to me as the lead play-by-play on Raw. He was gone after a little over a month, 5 or 6 weeks maybe. So those were the two big ones that stood out to me out of this big.
Aleister Black, Ruby Riott, Braun Strowman is mentioned. I mean, I'm happy for Ruby Riott. She was never used right. She was lost in the tag team division where you keep putting the belts on Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler when you have talent like the Riot Squad.
The only actual women's tag team, or one of the few actual women's tag teams.
Just baffling. And then Aleister Black was a surprise because they just started his vignettes for his new gimmick.
Right. And I think the biggest thing in common that those names that you just listed have is it's a lot of potential that was just let go. It's a lot of potential and a lot of people that were just kind of misused or didn't get the right look.
Right.
Were on the main roster. Braun Strowman has obviously had some big pushes here and there, but I don't think that they really 100% capitalized on him when he was at his peak.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah, maybe a couple of years ago, when he was first kind of getting into the world title picture, they're just a little slow to pull the trigger on him. And then Aleister Black, obviously, I don't think it ever really got rolling for him on the main roster. He was dealing with some injuries, I think, in there, but it's really unfortunate to see him go because I think he would have been really good on the big WWE stage with their high production value, just with his character. But yeah, it sucks to see them go, and Ruby Riott as well. They're all great workers, but hopefully we'll get to see them in some big spots moving forward here.
I mean, Lana was another one that was let go, and everyone can assume she's just going to end up in AEW with her husband.
Right.
On the flip side of those releases, there's rumors now that Braun Strowman will be brought back. That it was a contract restructuring type thing, because he was making over a mil a year, and he wasn't being pushed. Aleister Black is also rumored to be coming back too. So it's like, did they release those guys to test their market value and see what they were worth? Or were they freeing up cap space to bring back Mr. Suplex City himself?
I don't know. That's a good possibility. That's something that you have to think about, because there's been rumors, rumbling around that maybe Vince McMahon is looking to sell the company or something like that, and he's just trying to cut a little fat to make the brand look better. And I don't know if I necessarily buy that, but I do think that this definitely signifies that something big is in the works. I think when they go back out on the road here in the next couple of weeks. So I think that you're right there. Whether it is some bigger names coming back like Brock Lesnar or somebody else of that like, I don't know. I think something big has got to be in the works, like you were saying.
And like you said, they're going back on the road, and part of me wants them to be booed out of the building so bad. So bad.
I'm sure some of the smarter crowds out there will.
I mean, you got to admit,
have it at points.
I mean, you're a bigger WWE fan than I am these days, but you got to admit, some of those Raws have just been the same show over.
Yeah. And I think we'll talk about that when we get into Hell in a Cell, but I'm sure that the fans, if we get another, which they say it's going to be the last one, if Lashley and Drew, if Drew wins the title, they say it's going to be the last one.
Yep.
Loses, I should say.
And if you
if they get booed out of the building. What's that?
One of the spots yesterday that I was looking forward to, and I get made fun of in some of my wrestling chats for it, is the Eva Marie return, which I was just so let down. I get, like, her last run was she always flirted with getting in the ring and wrestling. She had the work malfunction and things like that. This time, the way they were hyping her, I thought maybe they were going to do something else.
It really did seem that way. And
no,
I thought, just because it got to the point where I was like, okay, we've seen so many of these videos, like advertising the return. When is she actually going to be back? When are we actually going to see her in the ring? And then, like you said, when we finally see what we get, and I was never the biggest Eva Marie fan myself. I didn't catch too much of her stuff just because I wasn't really watching too much at that time. I think she was kind of on the outs when I started really watching wrestling again. But yeah, I think just I don't know. My expectations were tempered to begin with, but still, I think a little let down.
I mean, don't get me wrong. She is a pretty face, and she's fun to look at. But I tell you, I follow her on the Instagram, and she's a beast in the gym.
Yeah, she's a trainer as well, I believe.
And the stuff she does for the troops and the workouts of the day and everything like that she does, I thought, all right, she's like disciplined now, and she's a little more focused on putting forth the effort. And maybe that'll come, but I was a little disappointed in that spot. So
yeah, I agree.
The other highlight from Raw, which the up and coming young starts in the tag team of RK Bro.
Bro. Great tag team.
I'm loving it. And I guess behind the scenes rumor is that Randy Orton's real big on Matt Riddle.
Well, I mean, why wouldn't you be? I know there's been some kind of like weird outside of the ring stuff that's went on with him. But as far as his work on television, it's fantastic. I mean, he's shown that he can do a lot of different stuff, whether it be the comedy stuff or you see this more serious side when he's kind of been having this more intense or edge in his matches lately. Kind of like, I guess, feeding off of Randy Orton or getting the same vibes as Orton. But I think they've been fantastic. It's something fun. Orton has just been what a role he's been on these last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
He's just been untouchable and doing all different stuff, all different opponents. Like he's been great.
He's great. I mean, I've been a Randy Orton guy for a long time.
Mhm.
But sticking with Matt Riddle, to this day, in my opinion, he was the star of the Royal Rumble.
Mhm.
That match made him. He came out of that match looking like a superstar.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. And this is one where I hope, we mentioned those guys that were released recently, and how they might not have been used properly. This is one where I've really enjoyed how they've built up Matt Riddle, like slowly but surely since he's been on the main roster. And I just hope that that build can continue and hopefully it doesn't get squandered because, I mean, it can be hit and miss when it gets to the main roster. And, sometimes Vince just doesn't see it with these guys. And,
I tell you, man, that RK Bro shirt, that
it's money with the snake on the scooter.
stupid Viper riding the scooter is great. I love everything about it.
It's all been good. I mean,
The little Viper with the bro hair. I love it.
yeah, it's all been good. I love the locking of the key and then the throwing it away. Like it's just been great stuff.
And it's kind of sad that it doesn't look like Randy Orton's on the Hell in a Cell card.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of looking that way, but I mean, I don't know. We can get into talking the card now if you wanted.
As of this recording, and the card that's been announced, now we are recording, pre Friday Night SmackDown.
Mhm.
It doesn't look like any tag team titles are going to be on the card.
Right. That's what I'm seeing, which is surprising because I know they've been doing well. Guess you can't really do anything with the SmackDown tag titles.
True, but we'll get there. But as far as the Raw titles go, with they had that Battle Royal, and who won that? I'm drawing a blank.
That was the Viking Raiders.
That's right. And when do they get their shot? Was that for SummerSlam?
No, I believe that was supposed to be on Raw last night. I've only gotten partway through it, but
I did not watch all of Raw, so we'll have to do our homework and find that out.
Yeah, but I mean, just because I think even on SmackDown they've which, and like you said, we still could get something Friday night, but they've been doing I think a lot as far as with the tag team stuff, even outside of the title picture, just with the Street Profits and the Chad Gable and Otis. So I'm surprised that we didn't see some sort of program with them announced. But again, maybe that'll come Friday.
Yeah, but we'll see because Rey Mysterio is in one of the title matches, and they still have the belt, right? So, but we'll just transition right into talking about the card for Hell in a Cell. We'll start with the Bianca Belair versus Bayley match.
Right. And this is a rematch from the last pay-per-view, right?
It is, but it got not, I don't want to say twist, but it's one where the champion actually challenged the challenger. The champion is the challenger because Bianca challenged Bayley for this match. Did I lose you over there? Are we experiencing technical difficulties?
You did. We had some issues. I think I heard you say that
we always have issues, but it wouldn't be a wrestling show without issues.
Yeah. But what were you saying again? I'm sorry.
Rewind. Bianca actually challenged Bayley to this
match. Correct. Yeah, just to get her out of her hair.
Yep, because there's been a lot of back and forth with those two. Again, these two put on a pretty solid match at the last pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm. And this is one that I would wonder if that gets the Hell in a Cell stipulation as well, because I guess as of right now I guess 2 Hell in a Cell matches is what they normally go with. So maybe
that looks like what they have.
Yeah. Both the men's title matches are in the Hell in a Cell, but I think it'll be really cool to see these guys or gals in a match again, just because, like you said, they're both great workers. They put on a really good match last time, and now we get to see, like you said, Bianca, even though she's the champion, she's the one that issued the challenge. Might get to see something a little different this time.
Yep. And who do you have winning this one?
I want to say this is one where maybe Bayley wins, like via disqualification or something like that. And then we have like a third match that's kind of like the rubber, like blow off match And I think Bianca will probably end up retaining the title in the long run, whenever this feud does end. But I don't think it'll be after Hell in a Cell here. And I think Bianca gets disqualified or Bailey wins somehow with chicanery but doesn't win the title.
I'm looking for a writing utensil because my pencil broke, so I can write down our picks. I guess I'll just have to use this highlighter. I'll just highlight that you're picking Bailey. I too am picking Bailey. I don't think it's going to be a clean win. So I think, just like you, I think Bianca is going to retain, and see something. We'll see a rubber match, possibly at SummerSlam between these two, because this is their second match. Bianca won the first one. I think Bailey will win via disqualification or some goofy stipulation like that.
Yeah.
Then a rubber match at SummerSlam for the SmackDown Women's title between those two.
Right. And I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here, or I am at least, because I'm about to drop this. But what do you think about, because I still think we haven't seen any like big comebacks or anything recently, and I feel like there's been so many that are just waiting. And so we've talked about, we think there's going to be one more of these, maybe get a trilogy of matches between Belair and Bailey. What about if, so we still have Money in the Bank, I believe, after Hell in a Cell, in between Hell in a Cell and SummerSlam. I believe Money in the Bank is in there. But if we did get it at SummerSlam, Bianca versus Bailey, the third and final fight, what if that's where we get our Becky Lynch comeback? She comes out to challenge Bianca Belair. We finally get to see them two in the ring together, and the crowd is just going nuts.
I would mark out so hard for
absolutely
Becky coming back, because everybody's chomping at the bits for that spark that's needed, not just in the division, but in every single division.
Right, I agree, 100%.
Tag team division, I think RK Bro is giving a little bit of spark to that on Raw. SmackDown, who knows what they're doing, but both Raw and SmackDown's women's division need that jolt.
Yeah.
And I'll use that segue. I think the jolt in the Raw women's division is Nikki Cross right now.
Oh yeah,
Nikki Cross she's always been a favorite of mine. She's not the match, but she's beat Charlotte Flair twice.
She's been circling. So
I think she'll get a shot at the winner of the Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair for the Raw Women's title match. So that match might happen at Money in the Bank, but we're getting ahead of ourselves like we always tend to do. But the Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair for the Raw Women's title match.
Kobe, damn dog. There's nobody out here. I don't understand what it is, but anyway, this Rhea and Charlotte, man, I don't know. I haven't been into it. It hasn't been doing it for me. I think Charlotte has been doing like great stuff behind the scenes, outside of the ring, with like Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville, that kind of stuff that she's been working. Where like trying to carry favor with them or kind of talk her way into these title matches, whatever the case is. But it's just something about Rhea Ripley. I don't know. Ever since she came up and challenged Asuka just kind of out of nowhere and was just kind of shotgunned into this position. Like, I know she can go and everything like that. It's just, I haven't really bought it, because she's just been like, oh, I'm here. I'm the champ. Like, you can't. Yeah, I'm the champ. Like, there's just no personality. It's just been very bland. I feel like since she's got called up, and I don't know. I don't really watch NXT as often, but I don't know if she was different or more different down in NXT, and then she's just kind of gotten watered down on the main roster, which happens.
Same gimmick as when she found this gimmick and found herself, so to speak. Same gimmick, but I believe the reason she was shoehorned into this title picture is because Charlotte Flair caught the Rona and taken out. But I know this is kind of a rematch from WrestleMania again between these two. I know there's been a lot of back and forth. Like you, I haven't really been into the feud. I've been more into the Nikki Cross stuff. That's, you
Yeah.
know, hang on a second. We've removed it. Okay, thank you, Zoom. Sorry, I was getting a notification from Zoom.
I got the same one.
Okay. Anyway, I've been more into the Nikki Cross stuff because I think she can go in the ring and she's just more
Yeah.
entertaining. Now, don't get me wrong, Charlotte Flair is a great heel and a great worker in the ring, but this particular feud is kind of flat right now.
Yeah, and like you said, like Nikki Cross has been fun to kind of like inject something a little more fresh into that, and she is like an interesting personality, you know. Like I think she's a little hokey, like the character that they've kind of portrayed with her, but they I think have switched that up really in the last couple of weeks. Like, you know, she has the new entrance music now. I noticed when she came down the other week, and she's not being like as crazy and over the top. So they've tempered her character down a little more, and I think that has worked a lot more for me recently. So maybe she will do great with whoever comes out on top after this program. But like you said, it's just kind of stale with Rhea and Charlotte right now. So I'm hoping that this could be the last one. I think Rhea probably retains, and then we'll move on to Nikki. But
Yeah, I hope this is the last one. So
yeah,
your pick is Rhea?
yeah, I think Rhea's got to win this one clean.
All right, Tyler is picking Rhea. I'm thinking Flair, and then we're gonna get Flair versus Nikki Cross at Money in the Bank,
Okay.
and then we'll probably see an emergence of Rhea versus Charlotte or whoever. I assume it's going to be Charlotte. I don't think Nikki's going to beat Charlotte at SummerSlam. So we will get another, because that's WWE style, but they could throw us a curveball because we still have one pay-per-view in between.
Right. Well, and you know, I don't hate the story that you just laid out there with Charlotte winning, defending against Nikki at Money in the Bank, and then going back to Rhea at SummerSlam. I don't really care to see that in the ring, but I don't hate it booking wise, just because.
Because it gives something different, gives Rhea a chance to go after other opponents and show that dominance that she has.
Right. Work her way back up. Actually,
way back up to Flair again.
Well, and Charlotte has been politicking in the background for a long time now, so I think it's time that we finally probably see her like get that paid off, you know, where she gets some sort of win out of it. But I don't know. I'm still going Rhea, but I can see where you're coming from.
And now, just move right into the match that I have no interest in. Alexa Bliss versus Shayna Baszler.
Oof. Yeah, it's kind of tough, but yeah, definitely no interest in that one, and I just hope it's quick, which I think it probably will be.
I think it's gonna be some kind of gimmicky thing with that stupid doll.
Yeah,
and I love Alexa Bliss in the ring. I love what she can do in the ring. But ever since they put her with the Fiend,
I 100% agree, especially since WrestleMania. I didn't mind it before WrestleMania, but ever since she came out of the box and did whatever the hell she did there, like it's been an absolute no for me.
Yeah, it's just now she's got the doll and
right. And I wonder like if this is something, because I know she had a lot of like recurring injuries for a little while, and like I think maybe concussions might have been involved. So I'm wondering if this is just something to really help her get her feet back under her and not have to take bumps for a while. But
and if that's the case,
horrible.
The match against Baszler is smart because Baszler is smart in the ring. She's safe. Everything I've read about her work in the ring, I'm not Baszler's biggest fan in the ring, but everything I've read, she's a smart worker. She takes care of her opponents.
Right. Well, I don't think, like you said, I think this is going to be really gimmicky. I don't think there's going to be too much working involved, but where there is, I'm sure she'll be taken care of. But
it could be one of those cinematic matches too. It could just be,
that's true.
Because of all the fire that's been coming out lately.
Yep.
With those two.
Yeah. And how about just one last thing on Shayna Baszler, because I don't want to spend a lot of time on this match. But
I was already ready to move on, but go ahead.
Yeah, just one more thing on her. How far has she fallen from what was it just before WrestleMania last year? I think when she cleaned house in the Elimination Chamber, was the first person to run the gauntlet in the Elimination Chamber. looked like a total legit badass, is a legit badass, and now she's out fucking working with a doll.
Yeah.
And the doll's probably, I don't think we said who's gonna win, but the doll's probably gonna go over her. Just, Alexa Bliss and the doll are gonna win.
You heard it here, folks. Tyler's picking the doll.
I hate to say it, but I am. Yeah. What the fuck is the point of putting
might
this
be
silly ass
the
doll
best
in there if you're not gonna put the doll over? Like I guess like why have the doll if it's not gonna win? I don't want to see it anyway, but I guess that's gonna get more heat. Like
I want the whole Pee-wee's Playhouse thing to just go away. Since day one, when Bray Wyatt introduced this Firefly Funhouse thing, I was like, this is not gonna go well. This sucks. It's stupid. You pick one or the other, and look how they booked the Fiend.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't hated it, but the Alexa Bliss stuff since then has just been not great. Her and Shayna Baszler both deserve it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
now, as we said before, we are recording this pre Friday Night SmackDown leading up to Hell in a Cell. There is one match that is rumored to be on the card, excuse me, and hopefully will be confirmed on Friday. On this past episode of SmackDown, during the Ding Dong Hello session with Bayley, Cesaro made a comeback. So I'm thinking we will get a Cesaro Seth Rollins match.
I definitely agree, and I was surprised. Well, we'll see if it actually gets scheduled, which I think it will. But I think that would be another one that could be inside the Hell in a Cell, just with how kind of intense this feud has seemed. You know, Cesaro is what he is on the mic and everything, but Rollins has really been selling the shit out of this feud, and has been really good at really showing that intensity and really just kind of making it work and putting his all into it. So if that does get scheduled, I think it'd be a hell of a match, and I think that would be a good one for Hell in a Cell, just with how this feud has been.
And I'm not going to disagree with you. If it does get booked, and I hope it does, I don't think it would be put in the Cell, because if it did, it would upstage the two already scheduled, because this has a potential to be the match of the night.
That's true. Yeah, I would think that they would have to put some sort of stipulation on it, just because this is the third time that we've seen it at a big pay-per-view. Yeah. And they've been building it so long. Like, basically, was it since the Royal Rumble, or did Rollins come back a little after the Royal Rumble?
I'm blanking on that. I don't know. I think it was a little bit after. And you froze in a nice image of yourself there. So hopefully that corrects itself.
I lost you again for a good 30 seconds there.
It's all right. I just rambled and made fun of your paused face.
Oh, I mean, it was my paused face?
It was your paused face on my end.
Oh, man.
Which is good, because my end's the one that's recording, so it's going to be
right. That's true. Face. That is good. That is good.
But back to Cesaro Rollins, I think they could use this feud, either one of these cats, to boost themselves into the title hunt on SmackDown.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I mean, Cesaro was just there, and Rollins can get shotgun there at any time. You know, he's always going to seem like a credible opponent. So I'd 100% be cool with that. And
given Cesaro's match at WrestleMania Backlash against Roman Reigns, was that Backlash? That was Backlash.
Yes. Yeah.
It was a great match.
It was. It was.
And speaking of Roman Reigns, we'll just keep moving right along. Like we said earlier, this is not a big card, but it's got big matches on it. So
it's got the big dog. I mean,
it's got the big dog.
Yeah, you got the big dog.
I got the big dog. One of only 3 wrestling figures I own, courtesy of my friend Jeff out in Arizona, who did.
That's not a bad one, because Roman Reigns is the best wrestler of all time. I will slap you with the best.
In Atlanta, Georgia.
Pat McAfee has been just sidebar. Pat McAfee has been so money on commentary. He's just been fantastic, in my opinion. Adnan Burke wasn't, Pat McAfee is. So
that's good for him. But speaking of Roman Reigns, and as we mentioned before, the Hell in a Cell, this is actually one of the matches actually scheduled in the Hell in a Cell steel cage. It is for
Yep.
the SmackDown Championship. Roman Reigns versus Rey Mysterio Jr. Ray, I believe, called him out on last Friday's episode and
Yeah.
challenged him for the. I couldn't remember if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, and challenged him. Oh no, 2 weeks ago was the beatdown of Dominic by Roman Reigns and the Usos.
Correct.
So Ray called out Roman Reigns and challenged him, and he wanted it in a Hell in a Cell. This one, I'm over Rey Mysterio. The build, they actually built a decent story around it. They got Roman Reigns' family going after Rey Mysterio's family, beating down Dominic. Rey Mysterio standing up for him and defending his son's honor and everything like that, and challenging the big dog to Hell in a Cell for the title. But Rey Mysterio, go away.
How can you? Okay,
I'm
not gonna lie. I think you are in the strong minority in this opinion. I'm just gonna say, from what I can see and understand with the wrestling community, I think you're in the strong minority.
Don't get me wrong, man. Rey Mysterio was one of the best cruiserweights of all time.
That's just a bad take. You can't look at cruiserweights like that anymore. I mean, what Daniel Bryan is maybe 15 pounds heavier than
probably
Mysterio. Yeah, so, I mean,
like I told you earlier on the phone, I grew up with watching Rey Mysterio.
So did I.
You're slightly younger generation than me, and he's still there.
Yeah, I mean, he's been wrestling for 35 years. The dude's insane, and he's still at the top of his game.
I'm not saying it's not going to be a good match, my friend. I'm just over Rey Mysterio, but I will concede that WWE did find a decent story and build and opponent for a nice filler feud for Roman Reigns.
Right. I don't think that Ray's going to win by any means, but I think this is going to be an incredible match, one that Ray deserves. I think he deserves one last good run as a main eventer, because he can still go. I think he's still at the top of his game. I mean, you look at the matches that he had. I guess this was pre-pandemic now, which is a long time ago. So
we don't speak of that year.
That's true. That's true. But it's almost 2 years ago now. But the series of matches that he had with Andrade on SmackDown, I mean, the guys are just putting on clinics, just 20-minute matches every single week. Like, no storyline needed. They were just going in there and fucking going to town. So I mean, like, Ray is not slowed down one bit, and I think his mic work has gotten even better. I hated what they did with him and Buddy Murphy last year. Like, I think that went on.
Yeah, that was
the whole stuff with the daughter and everything. Like, that was a bit much for me. But ever since they've gotten into just him and Dominic kind of teaming and stuff, I thought it was great.
And I was gonna make a point, but I forgot. Oh yeah, with another filler feud like they did, Cesaro, now Rey Mysterio. Nobody has the impression that either one of those guys was going to beat Roman Reigns, which leads me to think that something big is on the horizon for the SmackDown title come SummerSlam. Either there's going to be a surprise entrant in the Money in the Bank, and they're going to win and challenge Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, or someone's coming back at Money in the Bank to challenge Roman Reigns at SummerSlam.
So we both think that Roman Reigns is going to go over clean against Ray.
Oh yeah, it's a match. It'll be entertaining. It'll probably be 20-25 minute long match, I bet.
Yeah, and I think this will be the match of the night. I think, personally.
So we're both picking Roman.
Yeah, but so do you think who do you think is going to be next up? Like, because I know you just mentioned there might be like a surprise or something like that. I have something in mind for Raw and Lashley and Drew, but do you think that we're going to get anything like some sort of surprise with this feud, or for Roman?
I mean, I would like to see something, because we haven't heard anything from Edge, and in the back of my head, it's still one of those. Edge could still show up and say he wants his singles rematch.
Yeah,
his one-on-one match that he never got. for winning the Royal Rumble. And now that Daniel Bryan, I guess the rumor is he didn't resign. Like his contract expired. That's why he was written off TV.
Right.
It's gone. There'd be no one to get in the way of Edge having his. But leave it to WWE, make them the winner of the Money in the Bank, and Edge come back and challenge Roman Reigns, and the winner of the Money in the Bank challenge Roman Reigns too.
You get a nice triple threat at SummerSlam.
It's almost as bad as Cody Rhodes and AEW doing roll-up pins week after week. Get a new move.
I'm not gonna comment on that. No.
Yeah, AEW I'll save for when I revamp our once a month wrestling.
There you go. That'll be good for them. But I don't know. I think Roman has just been incredible. I think he's by far the best guy in the company right now.
Oh yeah.
Someone else who echoed that same sentiment, and you mentioned like maybe some surprise opponents that would come back. And I should just give this up. I should just give it up. But who would be one of the biggest names that you could put against Roman Reigns that the fans are going to go nuts for when fans are back?
Oh, John Cena.
John Cena is one, but I was thinking a little more extreme, a little more CM Punk, maybe.
Oh, you think CM Punk can still make a WWE return?
CM Punk has been commenting on the WWE a lot in the last couple of weeks. He came out and said that he thought that Roman was the best thing in the company by a mile right now. And I don't know. I've always thought like Vince always brings everybody back. You know, they always make up.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes. And, you know, like we've mentioned just on this podcast, you know, they're looking for a big splash right now with the fans coming back. And Cena has been rumored, but the Punk, that would be something.
Cena will be back by SummerSlam.
Yeah. And like, I would
even if it's just to MC or do some promos, Cena will be back.
Yeah.
But also to echo the behind the scenes and more rumors, I guess. It's being rumored now that Roman's going face.
I hope not, because he's just
I agree.
Great role right now.
He organically got over when he brought Paul Heyman back with him, and he went heel. Leave it. Let it ride out. I think he needs to lose the title eventually to whomever it's going to be, but then still stay in that main event picture as the head of the table.
Yeah.
I think, you know, I don't know. But I got Roman in this one. I got this actually being a good match, even though, yes, I am sick of Rey Mysterio, but I have been for years.
Crazy. That's crazy.
It is. I am in the minority. I know. I get it. I get made fun of all the time with my friends about it. But like you said, this could be a match of the night. It's going to be a solid match, and it'll be fun to see the two in the cage.
Yeah.
And that that's it. We got one more match.
Yeah, one more.
But I mean, like I said, these matches, like, let's recap real quick. You got the SmackDown Women's title. That's going to be a show because we already saw Bianca and Bayley wrestle for it before, and they can go. We know what Rhea and Flair can do in the ring, and that's another title match. Then you got Cesaro versus Rollins, which we both think is going to be announced on SmackDown this Friday. That's going to be a great match between two great workers in the ring. Bliss, Baszler. So of this entire card, there's one stinker of a match.
Yeah, and I don't think, like, my expectations aren't like crazy high for this. I think, but I think it has the chance to, you know, just like WrestleMania Backlash, where maybe
this is gonna be better than Backlash, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Backlash was like really sneaky good. I thought
it was, but we got 2 Hell in the Cell matches.
That's true, and hopefully they're good. But you know, sometimes we get Hell in a Cell matches. Sometimes we get to the Fiend versus Seth Rollins. You know, sometimes versus Roman Reigns. Yeah.
But and speaking of Hell in a Cell, that brings us to our last match on the card of Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre for the Raw title, which I believe is the Universal title. I think
Sorry.
Tyler fell asleep.
Yeah.
But,
Sorry. It's late and we're talking about a boring subject now. So
this is the 19th time we've seen these two cats go.
it might be 20th, but it's right around in that.
Now hold on. There's stipulations.
Oh yeah. There's
The only reason it's a Hell in a Cell match is because Drew McIntyre wanted it to be Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, because he's got to prove himself,
Got to prove himself or
Yeah.
such. And then Bobby Lashley, who's a great champion, great heel. Sucks they broke up the Hurt Business. Still bitter about that.
True.
If Lashley wins, Drew cannot challenge him for the title anymore.
Which I think Lashley's going to win, and I think that's maybe how they finally said. I know I predicted that the last that Drew was going to get some time off, but I think maybe this is how we get Drew away for a while. You know, he's got to go and take his lumps and figure himself out or something. You know, after he's banned from Lashley.
Are fans back for Money in the Bank?
I believe that's the plan, because I think we actually talked on the last show that the next pay-per-view was supposed to be Money in the Bank.
Or advertised for it.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, it was supposed to be Money in the Bank, but then I think they figured out that they were going to be able to have fans back, so they flip-flopped Hell in a Cell, Money in the Bank. Just because I think Hell in a Cell, you know, I can barely see in the cell anyway. So
according to my pick, I've got Lashley winning 2, but my gut, and then I'll let you chime in on and give your reactions. My gut tells me that Drew McIntyre is going to win only because you're frozen again. So I'm probably frozen on your screen. So we'll wait for the technical difficulties to work themselves out. And he's back.
I was gonna try and just roll with it if whatever you came back in when I unfroze, but I couldn't.
Nope, because I stopped. You'll have to watch and see what I did. Not going back. I was saying my gut tells me that Drew McIntyre could win only because fans are coming back, and he never got that championship run with fans.
I see where you're coming from there, but I think the fans will boo him now because they're so sick of him. I think the fans will, and he deserves better than that. Like I would not bring him back with the fans. Like he needs to be like a special surprise return, like a couple weeks after fans have been back, and then I think he's going to get that big pop that they're looking for.
But, but the problem is, now you've got Bobby Lashley as champion, right? He ran through Drew McIntyre 3 times. Who beats Bobby Lashley? Or does Drew come back at SummerSlam and interferes in a Bobby Lashley match again? And then we get Bobby Lashley versus Drew again.
Well, who beats Bobby Lashley after he retains against Drew again?
Not that he needs to lose. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But I think my big prediction, my big surprise comeback, I don't know if it's necessarily on this show or like the Raw after, but
Suplex City. And now
Suplex City.
I would love to see Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. And if Drew loses, as we both are picking, let me write that down. We were both picking Lashley. Lashley picking Lashley to win with the stipulation that Drew can no longer challenge him. And maybe that will play into Drew's gimmick and he's got to go find himself. And then he comes back and, well, no, because then they could break themselves into a corner too. Because let's say we get Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. Why not? Now Drew McIntyre comes back at SummerSlam, takes a month and a half, 2 months off. He already beat Brock Lesnar. Does Brock Lesnar get his redemption?
I don't think Brock Lesnar. He's Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I've always said Brock Lesnar doesn't need the title to beat Christian.
I don't think he does either. Yeah,
but a Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar match would be good. I'm not changing my opinion. I'm sticking with Bobby Lashley winning and Drew McIntyre not being able to challenge him and taking some time off.
I hope that's the case. And like, shit, I'm sure this is easier said than done, but man, you could keep McIntyre out until like the Royal Rumble if you wanted. Keep him out for like 6 months or something like that, and then have him come back and really get a pop in front of the
Oh, he
fans
would.
and really build that redemption story. Like, challenge Brock at WrestleMania if Brock wins the title off Lashley at SummerSlam. Like,
Yeah, I agree. So
I wouldn't hate that, but obviously you don't want to keep Drew, one of your biggest guys, off TV for half a year. That kind of sucks. But
is he one of their biggest guys? I mean, WWE looks at everything from merch sales to on air, everything.
that's true. Yeah, I don't know many folks that are going to be buying a Drew McIntyre shirt. Really,
I ain't buying one, and I'm Scottish too. So
I don't know. It's just so weird because he's a badass, but I don't know if he's cool right now. Like I don't know.
So
but it's interesting. I don't know. Hopefully he gets some time off. He deserves it.
One more recap. In the Bianca versus Bailey, we both are picking Bailey. Rhea versus Flair.
Bailey with chicanery. Bianca keeps the title.
Retains, correct. I believe I picked Flair and you're picking Rhea to retain.
Yep.
In the Roman Reigns versus Mysterio, we both long-winded pick of Roman Reigns, but it's going to be a good match, be entertaining, a nice filler feud. The Lashley versus Drew, we just talked about. We're both picking Lashley. Bliss versus Baszler. If I had to pick one, Bliss is going to win with something gimmicky.
And then you can just write down for my pick that fart noise that you made earlier. That's my pick for this match.
And Cesaro versus Rollins, I don't think we gave a pick. I could see that going to, do they do time limit draws, but maybe double count out, double disqualification?
Yeah, I could see that, or maybe just getting it. It sucks to see Cesaro lose 2 pay-per-views in a row, but I think Rollins kind of needs a win right now. But it's Seth freaking Rollins.
That leads into my point about Seth Rollins. He's Seth freaking Rollins. Seth Rollins doesn't need to win because he's freaking Rollins. Cesaro losing to Seth Rollins, who's you could insert into the main event at any time because he's Seth freaking
That's
Rollins.
True. Yeah. So I go Cesaro there. Yeah.
Cesaro needs the win.
Yeah.
To stay main event status.
Yeah.
That concludes the pay-per-view card for Hell in a Cell, which airs this Sunday, Father's Day, actually, June 20th.
Shout out all the dads out there.
Shout out to all the dads keeping it real.
Yeah.
What that was, but
yeah. It's late.
As always, Tyler, it's great to do the once a month wrestling show with you. As you and I discussed, looking to revamp it a little bit, maybe include a couple other people via Zoom. I would look to you to be a co-host type of that, if you're down.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to kind of expanding and looking at a little bit of a new format here.
Yeah, because I've got, I love the podcast. I love everything I do with it right now. And I know we're getting off wrestling, but I have a lot of wrestling friends. I'll circle back to wrestling right now. A lot of friends that watch wrestling and want to come on and talk about it, but I don't want to turn my whole thing into a wrestling podcast. So I'm going to keep it to once a month. I'm looking to expand it to get, 1, 2, 3 more people on with us to add their insight and everything. So once again, Tyler, I thank you for coming on to discuss WWE. And I throw this out there to anybody. If you have anything you want to talk about, come into the Soup Can. I'll ask Soup Noah with you. Just reach out to me via DMs on the Facebook, on the Instagram, or you can email me at thesoupcanwithcampbells@yahoo.com. Again, Tyler, thank you so much for coming on, and everybody have a great night. And thank you for listening to the Soup Can, where we ask the burning question, Soup No O.